आपने तो बहुत सारे वीडियोस में देखे ही होंगे आई गेस सिंस लास्ट ईयर itself from July or June 2024 when the protests against Sheikh Hasina had just started in Bangladesh that the protests were being hacked by the Jamaat-e-Islami. लेकिन Jamaat-e-Islami कौन है? Have you ever thought about this, that why they are so much for Pakistan and so much against any secular forces in Bangladesh? जमात और उसके साथ बांग्लादेश के इतिहास द 1971 वॉर ऑफ लिबरेशन के साथ जमात इस्लामी का क्या रोल है। आप लोगों ने रजाकार्स के बारे में सुना है, आप लोगों ने वो प्रोटेस्ट में रजाकार रजाकार बोलते हुए स्टूडेंट्स को सुने हैं, लेकिन व्हाट इज दिस जमात इस्लामी? तो आइए थोड़ा इतिहास में जाते हैं, जमात इस्लामी के बारे में थोड़ा जानते हैं। जमात इस्लामी का हमेशा से एक एजेंडा रहा है कि एक इस्लामिक स्टेट की तरह एक शरिया लीगल सिस्टम चालू करे, उसके साथ सारे के सारे अन इस्लामिक प्रैक्टिसेस को अनलॉफुल प्रूफ करे। जमात का सेंट्रल पॉलिटिकल कॉन्सेप्ट यही है, द सेंट्रल पॉलिटिकल स्टेटमेंट ऑफ इकमात ए दीन, द एस्टैब्लिशमेंट ऑफ द इस्लामिक स्टेट थ्रू द यूज ऑफ स्टेट पावर। तो जमाती इस्लामी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी का फाउंडेशन हुआ था बाय मौलाना अल मौदूदी इन 1941 एट लाहौर। पहले दिस वाज द जमाती इस्लामी ऑफ यूनाइटेड इंडिया, ऑफिशियली नोन एज जमाती इस्लामी हिंद, एंड आफ्टर द 1947 पार्टीशंस इट बिकेम द जमाती इस्लामी पाकिस्तान। नाउ पार्टीशन से पहले भी the anti-Indian sentiments were very much inside the leaders of the Jamaat-e-Islami political party, क्योंकि मौलाना मौदूदी जो थे, he wanted to promote social and political practices which included the use of Islamist ideologies. This political party even didn't support the Muslim League before the partitions as well, क्योंकि मुस्लिम लीग का थोड़ा सेक्युलरिज्म थोड़ा डेमोक्रेसी था, लेकिन these guys were such hardliners that they didn't even believe in any ideology of composite nationalism as well. They wanted to establish instead Ghazwa-e-Hind, which also goes against the partitions, क्योंकि partitions का main उद्देश्य था to create India and a separate state of Pakistan, East and West Pakistan. लेकिन ये लोग चाहते थे कि पूरा यूनाइटेड इंडिया हो, लेकिन a united Ghazwa-e-Hind under their or like-minded people like them under their control with Islamist ideologies. भारत के ऊपर फतह करना। Now 47 के partitions के बाद, you know, after Jinnah's takeover of the country and subsequently when military rule came up in Pakistan which destroyed the democracy, Jamaat-e-Islami joined up with other political parties in Pakistan to take part in protests against the Pakistani military government. Especially they united with the Awami League as well. हाँ, Awami League के साथ भी मिलके, उसके साथ और भी जो कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी थे and these and that other political parties that were present in both West and East Pakistan, इनके साथ मिलके in 1965 they protested against the Ayub Khan regime as well to push out martial law declaration from Pakistan. So, do you know who was the head of the Jamaat-e-Islami at that time in 1965? Ghulam Azam, the most heinous war criminal of the 1971 war. Anyway, in 1965 this guy Ghulam Azam leading the Jamaat-e-Islami, उसके साथ नेशनल अवामी पार्टी के लोग under the leadership of Maulana Abdul Hamid Khan Bhashani, also was revered by Sheikh Mujib himself, और शेख मुजीबुर रहमान और उनके अवामी लीग पार्टी was leading this anti-Ayub movement in 1965. तब सारे के सारे एक थे अगेंस्ट अयूब खान, लेकिन इन लोगों का मकसद था मिलिट्री रूल हटा के so that they can somehow come to power in पाकिस्तान, लेकिन ये हुआ नहीं। जनरल याहिया खान took over the reins of पाकिस्तान और उसके साथ बंगालियों के साथ जो ऑपरेशन हो रहा था in East Pakistan, that continued just like how it did even during Ayub Khan time. So Bengali log in East Pakistan, they started rebelling against West Pakistani military rule And this movement was led only by the Awami League, especially by Sheikh Mujibur Rahman himself. 1970s में जमात, Awami League and other political parties including Bhutto's political party, the Triple P, PPP, People's Party of Pakistan, they all took part in elections, and Awami League was supposed to come to power because of their amassed victory, but that didn't happen. Yahya Khan stopped the National Assembly. इसके बाद जमात का स्टांस चेंज हो गया. Jamaat started siding with the Pakistani military because they started seeing that East Pakistan में जो rebellion हो रहा है led by Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, this was actually going to turn out to be an independence movement which actually began at full-fledged from 7th of March 1971 after this historic speech of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman at Dhaka racecourse itself. So Jamaat का agenda था of creating an Islamic state, not to dive down deep in American money and American alcohol like most Pakistani generals. उन लोगों का सोच थोड़ा टेढ़ा मेरा था. So they decided कि पाकिस्तान का unity is very important for their future, what I can say, dream of Ghazwa-e Hind. Anyway, so they decided to stay with the Pakistani government to quell this rebellion in East Pakistan. तो उनके साथ जो नॉन बंगालीज था who migrated from India to East Pakistan in 1947, उन लोगों का भी सपोर्ट था. पाकिस्तानी फौज भी उनको पसंद करते थे ड्यू टू दिस शिफ्ट इन देयर स्टांस. एंड द बंगालीज with their own independence movement were now alone. आया 25 मार्च 1971 का ऑपरेशन सर्चलाइट, द वेरी नाइट ऑफ इट. पाकिस्तानी फौज का रैम्पेज आपको पता है, मैंने भी कवर किया है इन माय वीडियोस. पाकिस्तानी फौज बहुत सारे बंगालीज का निधन किए, एंड यू नो द बारबारिक ब्रूटैलिटीज दैट हैपेंड. व्हाट डिड जमात इस्लामी एज अ पॉलिटिकल पार्टी डू? पाकिस्तानी मिलिट्री एट दैट टाइम ईस्ट पाकिस्तान में मौजूद सारे के सारे पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज के साथ मिलना शुरू हो गए. गुलाम आजम, द हेड ऑफ ईस्ट पाकिस्तान जमात इस्लामी, उनके साथ भी मीटिंग किए पाकिस्तानी मिलिट्री के मेजर जनरल राव फरमान अली ऑन द 11th of April 1971. उसके साथ मुस्लिम लीग के भी लीडर्स थे. And a proposal was made to establish the so-called peace committee, जिनको बांग्लादेशीज बोलते हैं as शांति committee. Now, peace committee was meant to restore law and order back in East Pakistan after the military does its job in quelling the rebellion in East Pakistan. You know what the Pakistani military did in trying to quell this rebellion. तो peace committee का proposal जब पास हुआ, तब गुलाम आजम और उनके जमात इस्लामी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी ने क्या किया? दे स्टार्टेड ब्लेमिंग इंडिया, कि इंडिया ने बांग्लादेश में, मतलब इंडिया ने ईस्ट पाकिस्तान में दे स्टार्टेड प्रोमोटिंग टेररिज्म, दे स्टार्टेड प्रोमोटिंग अ मूवमेंट ऑफ इंसर्जेंसी थ्रू द मुक्ति वाहिनी. I mean, you can find the same kind of tones and voices right now in present day Bangladesh, of course. But I'm talking about 1971. This was the case. They started blaming India. While India initially was taking care of the refugees. और मुक्ति वाहिनी तो बाद में क्रिएट होगा ही प्रॉपरली, लेकिन इनिशियली अप्रैल के महीने में India's most focus was on dealing with the refugee crisis. But जमात का काम था, जमात ने ब्लेम करना शुरू कर दिया, ऑफिशियली पासिंग स्टेटमेंट्स. ईस्ट पाकिस्तान सेंट्रल पीस कमेटी बन गया था, एंड जमात के लीडर्स और कैडर्स started working in this organization on the civil front. And what did they do? They supported the Pakistani military occupation in every way possible. First of all, their target was the Hindu minority community. हिंदूज के ऊपर अत्याचार करना शुरू हो गया था. उनके घर बार प्रॉपर्टी लूट पाट करना, औरतों को उठा लेना, ये सब तो था ही. पाकिस्तानियों के रेप कैंप्स में औरतों को पहुंचा देना, खुद भी सेम घिनौनी हरकतें करना. उसके साथ torturing, murdering people indiscriminately. Hindus were the first target anyway. उसके साथ जो जो लोग मुक्ति वाहिनी में ज्वाइन किए उनके फैमिलीज को हैरास करना, उनके फैमिली मेंबर्स को मार देना, उनके घर बार जला देना, they were also involved very much in doing this. पाकिस्तानी फौज को फुल सपोर्ट दिए थे, इंक्लूडिंग taking part in administrative roles in various villages, towns in all over East Pakistan at that time, working as informers against the Mukti Bahini. पाकिस्तानी फौज को गाइड करके गांव में लेके जाने का काम भी जमात के लोग किए थे. And they did what Pakistani army does best, the genocide of people, the genocide of human beings. बहुत सारे ऐसे गांव जला दिए गए थे पर जमात इस्लामी और पाकिस्तानी फौज मिलके आफ्टर their barbaric brutality on the local people. बहुत सारे शहर में अवामी लीग के जितने ऑफिसेस थे, वर्कशॉप्स थे, people who were working with the Awami League, they were murdered, harassed, offices were burned down, anything that was standing against Pakistan, against the value of Pakistan and against the ideals of Ghazwa-e-Hind, those were being relentlessly hunted and destroyed by the Jamaat Islami. Now, East Pakistan Central Peace Committee का total 21 founding members था, including Ghulam Azam. I'm going to name all of them one by one. These were the guys who are the top brass of the Jamaat leaders and decided what to do in the next 8 months in East Pakistan. Here it goes. Syed Khaja Khairuddin, AQM Shafiqul Alam, Professor Ghulam Azam, Mahmud Ali, Abdul Jabbar Khandar, Maulana Siddiq Ahmed, Abul Qasim, Mohan Mia, Maulana Syed Muhammad Masoom, Abdul Mateen, Professor Ghulam Sarwar, Barrister Akhtaruddin, Pir Mohsinuddin, A.S.M. Sulaiman, A.K. Rafiqul Hussain, Nuruzzaman, Ataul Haq Khan, Tohara bin Habib, Major Afsaruddin, Dewan Warasat Ali, Hakim Irteyazul Rahman. Now, एक और बात मैं आपको बताता हूं, ये ईस्ट पाकिस्तान सेंट्रल पीस कमेटी का ऑफिस कहां पे था आपको पता है? Go to Elephant Road in Dhaka right now. The present day Jamaat Islami office is operating from Elephant Road in Dhaka. You can find it on the map. Google Maps में ही आपको मिल जाएगा. ईस्ट पाकिस्तान सेंट्रल पीस कमेटी का एड्रेस एड्रेस था नंबर 505 Elephant Lane, Dhaka. Now the next part of the atrocities of the Jamaat-e-Islami continues. Lieutenant General Tikka Khan, जो ईस्ट पाकिस्तान में थे, he passed the Razakar Ordinance on the 1st of June 1971. 1958 में Ansar Act was passed in East Pakistan to raise the Ansar paramilitary force. Right? You must have seen how in my videos itself कि Ansar के paramilitary people joined up with Mukti Bahini fighters, East Bengal Regiment के बंदे, EPR के बंदे, East Pakistan Rifles के बंदे to take part in the independence movement, right? Now 1958 का Ansar Act उठा दिया गया by General Tikka Khan and the Razakar Ordinance was pushed in the government and the Pakistan Defense Ministry raised the Razakar Bahini. ये राजाकार बाहिनी में कौन जाता था? जमात इस्लामी का जो स्टूडेंट कैडर्स था, जमात शिबिर जिनको बोलते हैं आज, जमात शिबिर इज रोमिंग अराउंड फ्रीली इन द स्ट्रीट्स ऑफ बांग्लादेश. सो जमात का छात्र शिबिर वाज डाउन देयर हु जॉइंड द राजाकार बाहिनी. उसके साथ एक्टिव पार्टी मेंबर्स, जमात इस्लामी का पार्टी मेंबर्स भी राजाकार बाहिनी ज्वाइन किया. उसके साथ मुस्लिम लीग के भी लोग ज्वाइन द राजाकार फोर्सेस और मेजर जनरल जमशेद, द GOC ऑफ द पाकिस्तानी 36 इन्फेंट्री डिवीजन, who later surrendered to the Indian Army's 101 Communication Zone GOC, General Gandharv Singh Nagra. This General Jamshed was ordered to take over the Razakar Bahini to be the Director General of this newly raised paramilitary unit. राजाकार बाहिनी को खाकी यूनिफॉर्म्स दिया गया था, एक शोल्डर पैच था, हथियार के ट्रेनिंग्स दिए गए थे, इंक्लूडिंग हाउ टू यूज राइफल्स, सब मशीन गन्स एंड इंक्लूडिंग लाइट मशीन गन्स एज वेल। और उनका काम मेनली था टू असिस्ट द पाकिस्तानी फोर्सेस in whatever they were doing. Construction of bunkers, manning defenses, digging trenches, manning checkpoints and outposts, और उसके साथ फ्री का atrocities on the local people. उसके साथ बहुत सारे राजाकार्स also joined मुक्ति वाहिनी to work as spies. मुक्ति वाहिनी का मूवमेंट का information they used to pass to the Pakistani forces, and later Pakistani forces would finally arrest these Mukti Bahini fighters, and you know what can happen. I don't have to explain. They were betraying the Mukti Bahini by getting inside the Mukti Bahini forces and their teams. उसके साथ, as you know, law and order का तमाशा बन गया था ईस्ट पाकिस्तान में। तो बहुत सारे लोग who were from poor communities saw this as an opportunity कि अगर मैं राजाकार फौज में भर्ती हो गया, I get a uniform, I get a weapon. बाहर के मीडिया में राजाकार्स were shown as patriots, standing up to protect the unity of Pakistan, especially protect East Pakistan from Indian aggression, portrayal of that in that way. So उसके साथ free का atrocities करना, torturing people, औरतों के साथ घिनौनी हरकतें करना, and of course earning a lot of money by looting properties of people. घर बार जला देना, घर बार लूट कर लेना, grabbing lands, of course, especially the lands that were abandoned by people of the Hindu community who went to India for refuge and shelter. Unke lands harap lena. It was a really time for getting rich by doing all kind of anti-social activities. And to be honest, these were also legalized by the Pakistani government. बेटर एम्प्लॉयमेंट अपॉर्चुनिटीज भी था, बहुत सारे बेकार लोग थे इन ईस्ट पाकिस्तान, दे नीडेड मनी, दे नीडेड सम जॉब, तो दे जॉइन द राजाकार फोर्सेस। और उसके साथ बहुत सारे पीपल आल्सो जॉइन द राजाकार फोर्सेस बिकॉज उनको और उनके फैमिलीज को थ्रेट्स दिया गया था दैट वी नीड मेन, एंड इफ यू डोंट जॉइन वी आर गोइंग टू हार्म योर फैमिली और वी आर गोइंग टू हार्म यू. This kind of threats were also given by other Razakars or even by Pakistani soldiers as well. So many people were forced to join. And also many people, to be honest, there were many people who worked as informers for the Mukti Bahini. हाँ, ऐसे राजाकार्स भी थे जो अच्छे काम भी किए थोड़ा. तो मुक्ति वाहिनी को भी मतलब they used to provide intel. या कि यहाँ पे पाकिस्तानी बंकर है, वहाँ पे स्कूल के ऊपर मशीन गन नेस्ट है, यहाँ पे पाकिस्तानी फौज हथियार रखते हैं, वहाँ पे पाकिस्तानी मेजर का ऑफिस है, so you attack from here. These sort of guidance were also given. Many Razakars worked for the Mukti Bahini by being inside the Razakar Bahini, and many Razakars also later joined the Mukti Bahini, defecting. Yeah, they made a good choice at the end. This also happened. बांग्लादेश मतलब ईस्ट पाकिस्तान में देयर आर मेनी फैमिलीज जहां पे बाप राजाकार है, वर्किंग विद द पीस कमिटी इन द विलेज और द टाउन, एंड सन हैज जॉइंड मुक्ति वाहिनी. इमेजिन द कॉन्फ्लिक्ट, बट दिस हैज बीन प्रेजेंट वेरी मच. सबसे घिनौनी हरकत जो राजाकार बाहिनी जमात इस्लामी के लोग किए हैं, स्पेशली जमात के लोग किए हैं, दैट इज बाय द क्रिएशन ऑफ द अल बदर डेथ स्क्वाड्स एंड द अल शम्स death squads. Al-Badr death squad was very much active. और बांग्लादेश बनने के बाद बहुत सारे ऐसे जमाती इस्लामी के लीडर्स थे, especially I mean who worked in the government of Bangladesh. They were former Al-Badr death squad members and leaders. Imagine, I'm giving the example of, right now you can also find this guy on Wikipedia as well. His name is Motiur Rahman Nizami. Motiur Rahman Nizami. This guy was a former Bangladesh agriculture minister. He had links with murders of a lot of people when he was an Al-Badr death squad member or leader in 1971. But he became a minister in the Bangladesh government later on. Of course, when Sheikh Hasina came to power, he was executed. Anyway, Al-Badr death squads had khaki shirts and grey colored pants as their uniforms. And their volunteers also came from madrasas owned by the Jamaat-e-Islami and also from the Muslim League as well. Al-Badr death squads का main काम था to be deployed in Dhaka city, take part in active patrolling, being on overwatch all the time, helping out the Pakistani forces in raids and operations against Mukti Bahini safe houses in Dhaka. उसके साथ ढाका और चिटागोंग में स्पाइस की तरह काम करना to gather information on Mukti Bahini activities. और उसके साथ interrogation and torture. And you know, it goes beyond the limits of human endurance, the kind of torture these Al-Badr death squads members used to do. Special case of such torture I would like to mention is the torture of the crack platoon members. Captured crack platoon Mukti Bahini fighters who were taken to MP hostel torture cell of the Pakistani army, tortured by these Al-Badr death squad members and later executed. Their bodies were never found by their families. So Al-Badr death squad members took part in these kind of murders. The last infamous murder that these Al-Badr death squad members did was, of course, on the orders of Pakistani army, was the murder of intellectuals. देखिए, East Pakistan में at that time there was a lot of people who were, what I can say, targeted to be executed because Pakistani Fauj उनको पता चल चुका था. Also, by the arrival of the Indian army joining the Mukti Bahini in the fighting for the liberation, पाकिस्तानी फौज को यह पता चल चुका था कि उनका दादागिरी ज्यादा देर तक ईस्ट पाकिस्तान में चलने नहीं वाला है. They will eventually have to leave East Pakistan. So, मेजर जनरल राव फरमान अली का दिमाग से ही ये आइडिया निकला था कि they have to leave behind an intellectually deprived East Pakistan. उसके लिए what was needed to be done? Pakistani फौज assigned the task of the murder of professors, college teachers, scientists, journalists, lawyers, filmmakers, artists, writers, poets, at the same time I would say singers, engineers, doctors, people who were educated enough to lead a new Bangladesh into the future. I would say the cream intelligentsia of East Pakistan. ये बंगाली लोग, I mean, they were targeted for execution, and this was done, I think, from the 14th of December by these Al-Badr death squad members. They used to use a vehicle, go to the houses of these people, and they used to abduct them and execute them and later dump their bodies at Riot Bazaar mass graveyard in Dhaka or some other places. After the Indian army, liberated the city, these bodies were found both by Indian army officers and soldiers and by Mukti Bahini fighters. And it was a grim sight, to be honest. But this was done by Al-Badr death squad members. Al-Shams was also such an organization, but this organization mostly had non-Bengali people, mostly from the Bihari Muslim community, who migrated from India to East Pakistan in 1947, who supported the Pakistani military. They were also trained in the same way, and they supported the Jamaat-e-Islami very, very much. And they took part in a lot of assassinations, murdering people in Dhaka's Mirpur area, because Mirpur even now is still a stronghold of these people, of these pro-Pakistani elements in East Pakistan and also in present-day Bangladesh. So this happened a lot in Mirpur area, done by the Al-Shams people. Over 200 Bengali intellectuals were murdered by the Al-Badr and Al-Shams death squad members of the Jamaat-e-Islami. After the liberation of this country, when Sheikh Mujib assumed power, all these people, these big shots of Jamaat-e-Islami, Al-Badr, Al-Shams, Razakar Bahini ke commanders, who were not captured or executed or who were not killed in action during the war, they all went into hiding. बहुत सारे थे ऐसे. They all went into hiding. And they all came out slowly after the death of Sheikh Mujib in 1975. And in 1978, they were brought back to mainstream politics in Bangladesh. Ghulam Azam jo the first, I would say, the Amir of the Jamaat-e-Islami in 1971, who was present at that meeting with General Rao Farman Ali in April 1971. He first fled from Bangladesh, went to Pakistan, और उनका citizenship, Bangladeshi citizenship was cancelled in 1972, but he came back in 1978. But sitting in Pakistan, he organized another group, the East Pakistan Recovery Week. And after 1975, after the death of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, the assassination of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, Jamaat-e-Islami East Pakistan or Jamaat-e-Islami Pakistan was renamed as Jamaat-e-Islami Bangladesh, now operating from Elephant Road, Dhaka. In 2011, the War Crimes Tribunal, organized by the Bangladesh government, the International Center for War Crimes Tribunal, ICT I think, this court actually found a lot of Jamaat-e-Islami members who were also, what I can say, became top shots in the party, but were former Al-Badr and Al-Shams death squad leaders as well. A person like Matiur Rahman Nizami. These guys were being charged for their war crimes in 1971, and with suitable and sustainable evidence from locals in Bangladesh who testified their war crimes, these guys were sentenced to death by the Bangladeshi court. But as usual, Jamaat-e-Islami broke out in a lot of protests, but these executions carried on. Also, many of these Al-Badr death squad leaders and members are still present in first world countries like in European nations and also in the US and UK. One of them, I think, is Chaudhry Moinuddin, I would say. He's still in the UK, safe and sound, despite his war crimes, despite Bangladesh had charged him for whatever it did in 1971, but he's still there. But the leader of Jamaat-e-Islami in 1971, Ghulam Azam, was actually executed by the Bangladeshi government for his war crimes in the 1971 war. Last बात मैं ये बताना चाहूँगा regarding Jamaat-e-Islami about this snake of an organization, that this organization being in power alongside working with the BNP when BNP was in power in Bangladesh, this organization has been promoting terrorism in the northeastern states of India, especially in the state of Assam, sponsoring and providing weapons to the Ulfa terrorists in Assam. This happened not in 1971, not in 1980, but in the mid 1990s to early 2000s. BNP के कुछ leaders were involved. उसके साथ these former war criminals and these Jamaat leaders were involved. So you have to understand what kind of a snake this Jamaat-e-Islami is actually. As you can see from the destruction that has been unleashed after the fall of Sheikh Hasina in Bangladesh, what the Jamaat-e-Islami has been doing through full support of the interim government of Bangladesh. You can see the flags of Hizbut Tahrir and other terrorist organizations being hosted in many places in Dhaka and in Bangladesh. Almost all of them are sister organizations of the Jamaat-e-Islami. This is a political party, and its links with 1971 war is very gruesome. I hope you like this informative video, and if you like this channel, please like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos on the 1971 war, which also includes podcasts of veterans who took part in the war and also supported the war itself. Thank you so much for listening.